Sustainable creating is good for our hearts, it's good for our spirits, it's good for the earth, and it's good for our wallets. Hi, welcome back to the channel. It's Sam from thesamanthawild.com. I am here for creativity, for inspiration, a lot of talk about healing, a lot of talk about fiber art, and a lot of talk about how we can use what we have to make what our hearts are calling us to make. So I hope you'll give a thumbs up. I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already. And kisses and hugs to my wonderful subscribers. I'm glad you're here. The thing is, and part of what I'm sharing here on this channel is that what we do in our art parallels what we do in our lives. And what we do in our lives assists our art, but what we do in our art can help assist us in our lives so that our lives become more creative, our lives become more sustainable, and we become more whole and healthy and complete as we become more deeply artistic, creative, and connected, right? Really connected to our intuitive voice of creativity. And that's why I'm here sharing what it is like for me as an intuitive creator. And I made a few videos about that if you want to see them. I am celebrating Earth Month because April is Earth Month and Earth Day is coming. And I want to talk to you about how we can use what we have to create. Using what we have to create is so powerful. It really is true that it helps our wallets, it helps our hearts, it helps to heal us because we begin to see things around us differently. For example, like me, you probably have lots of plastic bags. Here's just a small collection. I think this was only collected after 2 weeks. A lot of bread. I mean, you have 6 kiddos, so that's part of the reason. And apple bags. They give apples in plastic bags now. There's a toilet bag in there. Anyhow, look at the beautiful wall hanging that was created from plastic bags. So when I say you can use what's around you, I really mean it. Now, I want to give you just a couple of ideas. First, just look. I don't know what kind of creator or crafter you are, but just look around you and think, what could I actually put inside of my work? And if you don't normally use something, you could actually kind of broaden your horizons that way. But here's something else I want you to consider, and I think this is a really potent and important thing for this time in the world. I feel like I should somehow wear this, and I wish you could touch it. Because when you look at it, you would have no idea it was made out of plastic. And it's beautiful because the light comes through it. Now, there's not enough sunlight there to see that. But if you get close to it, it has a totally different, as my kids would like, the ASMR on this one. Okay, so the first thing I was saying is look around, look with a new gaze, and think about what can I use that I already have. If you feel like you want to go out and go shopping, I'm doing less shopping right now. A lot of people are boycotting different places. So what can I just work with that I have now? A couple of projects I've done recently are my lovely rag bag made from some old dresses and a beautiful rag made from an old sheet. And that's easier, of course, if we're working with fiber, clothing, or textiles. I'll tell you another thing, and this could happen to you probably no matter what kind of creator, crafter, artist that you are. You can think about asking people for donations. The thing is, people will bring me things. Recently, I got a whole stack of different fibers from some person, and then about a couple of weeks later I got all kinds of cloth, and then somebody gave me a lot of fabric. And these are just people who know that I do this and they bring me things. And one friend said to me, I always feel like I'm like a bird, Sam, and I'm picking up different things for you to make a nest. And I love that image. But other people may have some of the things that you want to need for your crafting or creating. So you can put the call out on social media. You can simply ask your friends. Most people have so much stuff. Most people have so much more stuff than they want. And so I started by saying that sustainable creating helps our hearts. And it helps our hearts actually when we're more connected and in communication and community with other people. But it also helps our hearts when we're less focused on just having things, yes, being the consumer, and more focused on being the producer and the creator and making things. And the third thing, we all know this in principle as recyclers, is reusing what we have. So you can think about, what do I have? Not just what do I have that I can use now, but what do I have that I can give a new purpose to? I can't tell you how much I love this metaphor. I think this goes so far in terms of how we relate to ourselves and in our own lives, especially if we've had hard things that have happened to us. And we think, how can I use this? For example, I had a divorce when I had 4 young kids. That was really hard. And believe me, I've asked myself, how can I use this? How can this be the compost for my future life? And it's a lot better to use those things than to just feel total despair. So when we look around, we're not just saying, what are the raw materials that I could use, but how could I actually see a different future for that thing, that painting, that canvas, that piece of fabric, that paper, if we're paper collaging. It's really sky's the limit in terms of that. When you look around your space, you're like, I actually really never even liked that thing, or it's not serving a purpose anymore. What new life can it have? That's very different than just picking raw materials, isn't it? I know an artist who uses old quilts, but she uses the old quilts as the backing for her fiber art that goes on top of it. The reason why this allows us to expand our creative and artistic vision, and also our human vision in our lives, is because we're working inside of some limitations. If we could just go literally buy anything we wanted all the time, then we aren't being pressed to think of things in a different way. But inside of limitations, we think, oh, well, I only have this, this, and this. What can I make with those 4 things? And the reason it's useful to practice working inside limitations is because all of us have limitations inside of our lives. Right? It's just very few people who have every single thing that they want. Certainly not true for me. So I asked myself, right, in my own life, you just have to find your joy and make your joy, even though, I don't know, the world isn't going the way you want it to go, or the government isn't doing what you wish it would do, or your family isn't acting the way you want them to act. But then we think, oh, well, how can I still make joy, creativity, a vibrant life for myself? And so if we can learn to do it in art, how can I do something with these 4 things? What can I make? Same thing for cooking, right? This is the way I cook a lot of the time. This is what I have. And how can we have make, do, stew? One of my favorite cookbooks is called More with Less. And it's a Mennonite cookbook. Love it. So that's really my principle for life. It's my principle for art. How can we do more and have more abundance, creativity, life, joy, and satisfaction without using so much of the planet's resources or even our own limited resources? Thank you so much for stopping and being here. I hope you'll give a thumbs up, and I hope that you'll subscribe if you haven't already, remembering this is a place for creativity and encouragement, fiber art, of course, and weaving. But hopefully this is inspiring you in whatever creative endeavors you're doing. And don't forget to check out thesamanthawild.com. I do have things in my weaving shop. I have a few things that haven't been bought. A lot of pieces are sold, but go on over there and see what you can find. And I hope you have a very creative day full of sustainability.